Okay, before we get started making the rest of the bath bomb molds that we didn't get to do yesterday, what would testing be if we didn't do the water test to see if it floats, if it sinks, if it fizzes, it foams, whatever it does? There's not going to be any color, obviously, but let's just do the demo on this, okay? So I tried to get a bath bomb from each one of the suppliers, including ours, that pretty much kind of weigh the same. So the Chunk of Dust Awareness Ribbon is 4.3 ounces. And coincidentally, the Inedible Soaps Bloody Handprint is also 4.3 ounces. And then the closest one of our own molds that we could get to that is 4.4 ounces with the indent. So let's go ahead and do a quick test and see how these perform, okay? First up, Chunk of Dust. We're going to put this whole thing in here. Actually, let's move this out of the way so you guys can see. All right, this whole thing right in. Here we go. It's fizzing very well. I like that. It's fizzing very well. Ooh, it might be fizzing right on out of here. Uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. No. Oh, no. Okay, disaster, disaster, disaster. Oh, I did not plan on that happening. Wow. Look at this action, though. I really did not plan on that happening, but man alive, you guys, look at this nonsense. Woohoo! And by nonsense, I mean that's pretty cool. Let me come over here and grab another towel. All right, let's get him over here to the sink. I shouldn't have filled this water up quite that much. This is, oh boy. All right, let's bring this back on camera and let it continue fizzing away. But that's actually really a good thing. Even though I just made a catastrophe mess all over the place, that's fine. That's what towels are for. It's water. It's really no big deal. But look at the foaming and fizzing action on this bath bomb from Chunk of Dust, you guys. Holy cow. That's absolutely insane. It's still going. Look at it. So imagine if you're in the bathtub and you just put one of your bath bombs in there from the recipe that you just made from Chunk of Dust. Holy mackerel. How much fun would this be? A lot. That's how much. Now let's see if there's any bath bomb left. There still is a little teeny tiny chunk left. But look at the foam, you guys. This is fantastic. This is great. It dissolves pretty quickly. I mean, that only took minutes. Not even minutes. Wow. That's fabulous. So if I didn't already have a really good recipe of my own, I wouldn't hesitate to use this one from Chunk of Dust. I wouldn't. I think that's a really good recipe. Hold on, let me just go and wash my hands. Well, who cares? Let's just do it on the towel. Who cares? All right, let's get you out of the way. Let's hope that doesn't happen again. But it might. All right, let's go and do Inedible Soaps now. All right, here we go with Inedible Soaps, the whole thing. Uh-oh, here we go. Whee! It's gonna do it again. Hold, please. This one is also a really good bubbler and foamer. Now I can tell by the feel of the water, it's not as luxurious feeling. But there's nothing wrong with this recipe. I didn't really care for it yesterday just because it dries out really quickly while you are making. But this is great. This is good fizzing. Although Chunka's fizzed more, the fizzing action was more, but this foam is wonderful. It doesn't feel as luxurious and as silky, but still good. It's not dissolving as quickly. All right, well, we We were going to put mine in here, but we're not anymore because you know what's going to happen. That's going to be all over the table. All right, we got a whole new pitcher of water there to do ours, but this is still going. This is still foaming, and this is not dissolving as quickly. So there's still some left, and it was this same exact weight as the other one from Chunk of Dust. But yeah, this is a good bath experience. Really good. I like it. I guess it just matters, you know, depends, I guess, on what kind of a feel do you want in your bath water. This is definitely passable. There's nothing wrong with this. All right. Let's put this over here because we know what's going to happen once we stick mine in here. Now, this is 0.1 ounce more. All right, this is our recipe. So, here we go. Lots of nice fizzing action. It's not foaming up and bubbling up and spilling over like the other ones because I have a different surfactant system. I use 3 different surfactants: SLSA, SCI, and SCS. Ooh, that's nice. So you see the difference between the lathers, you guys, okay? So these are really big bubbles. They're big. Actually, it feels kind of gritty now that it's dissolving more. Yeah, the bubbles actually feel gritty. And maybe that's because there's not really a whole lot of water in here. Okay. And you can see the difference in the bubbles. This is ours, and this is Inedible Soap. And this is going to take a really long time. I know because, you know, I've been making these for a really long time. This is going to take probably a good 10 minutes to completely and fully dissolve. But you can see the difference in foam. The difference in the feel is very noticeable. Very noticeable. This is really, really gritty. Like it feels like almost like sand. Yeah, I'm not digging the feel of this water. But the bubble factor is good. Very good. I like that. So you can see we still have a lot to go. A lot. This is going to take a long time to fully dissolve. And that's why, you know, I mean, I designed this recipe that way purposely so that they can have a longer lasting experience in the tub. You know, you don't want something to dissolve within the first couple of seconds. So over here we've got the Inedible Soaps is just about done. So it's been what? I don't know. 3-4 minutes. It's just about done. There's very little left of it. Now the only thing with the Chunk of Dust, that dissolved really quickly. I mean really quickly. That was only a couple of minutes. So I don't like that aspect of it because I think that it should last a little while in the tub, you know, to give your customers a good bathing experience. But this is beautiful. This lather from Inedible Soaps is thinner, but the bubbles are bigger. My lather is thicker, but the bubbles are, it's more foamy than bubbly. And as you can see, we still have a long way to go. Long way to go. So that's going to do it for the bubble tests. You saw it with your own eyes. Make your own judgments. Hang in there with me, you guys. We're going to come right back and we're going to start molding all those other things that we talked about. Give me a second. Okay, I think we are ready to roll over here. I've got my mix all ready to go. So let's do some, what they call a melon baller or a meat baller. This is all we had way back in the day. It's either make them by hand, rolling them, or you used one of these suckers. The principle on this is really easy, you guys. This is no different, really, than having 2 half spheres. It just happens to have a little handle, a little scissor handle on it, that's all, but there's no difference, and so you don't really treat it very differently. You're just going to open it up, get a bunch of mix in there, squeeze it together, and if you don't want your Saturn ring, squeeze it really hard. You can put it over here, push down on it just like you would any of the 3D molds. Get rid of any excess that you don't want. All right, and then we're going to take our spoon. We're going to do the same type of tapping that we would do on any other mold. Turn it over, same thing. Now what I like to do with these is I will put a finger on the bottom, because there's a hole on the top and a hole on the bottom. I will put my finger on the bottom and I'll put my thumb on the top, and I will push in as I am taking my fingers on the scissor part and trying to open it a little bit. And I'll do that gently until I feel it release. And I can feel it release. And so now I can go ahead and remove my thumb off the top and just lift up on that scissor part. Okay, now I'm going to put it back down and I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to stick my finger under there again and just go up and down with your fingers on the scissor part to see if it releases, and you'll feel it. It did. Okay, so go ahead and just pop that on up with your thumb. If you need to push down on the back just to get it to unmold. And so there you go. How big is this? I want to say this is like a 1.5 inch round sphere. And so there you go. Okay, so that is done using your meatballer or melon baller, whatever you guys want to call this thing. It's called both. Very easy to use, and they come in a variety of sizes. Hold on, let me just go get the other size I have. I've got 3 of these. I don't use them anymore. 2 of them are the same size, and 1 of them is a little smaller. But very easy to use, no big deal at all. All right, let's move on to a regular stainless steel sphere. Again, I got these from Brambleberry, okay? So you're gonna take 1/2, pack it in, not tightly, okay? Grab the other half, do the same thing. Just give it a tap with your finger and then brush off, okay? Now you're gonna pile some in the middle like we did yesterday with the aluminum ones. It's the same principle, okay? Take your 2 halves, squish them together. Uh-oh, that's not enough. Let me put more, sorry. That wasn't enough, I could tell before I even squished them. Okay, now you take your 2 halves and squish them. Squish, squish, squish. Try to squish them together evenly so that your halves aren't off center and wonky. And you can put them down here on the table and give it a push. Turn it over and give it another push. Again, you don't really want to be twisting because then you're creating friction and then they're not going to stay for you. Some people get that to work. The majority of people do not. Okay, so again, you can either tap on here, because these are stainless, you can tap on here with your spoon, or you can knock this down on the table too. All right, let's see if that worked without the tapping of the spoon. Okay, so that was really easy. Turn it over. And then just take the top off. And there you have a round sphere using the 2 halves of a stainless steel. It's a little misshapen in my personal opinion. It's not completely round, but I really don't think the customers mind about that. Now this is a bigger one. I want to say this is 2.75, I think. I'm pretty sure this is 2.75. So this is a pretty hefty bomb. The weight of it is pretty heavy. Okay, so just keep that in mind too. Okay, so now we've done the meat baller. Now we've done the 2 halves of the stainless. Let's try a cookie cutter. Let's get our cardboard down here first. And with cookie cutters, first of all, you only want to use the metal. The plastic really doesn't work very well. Also, with the metal, you don't want to get the metal that has the plastic on the top, because those don't work very well. You just want a plain metal. And on all cookie cutters, you know, it has got that little lip on the top. You want that up on the top, not on the bottom. You do not want this sharp part up. You want that down. All right, so put that here and just fill it. Give it a little shake, and then push, 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 because it's the only means that you have to press or pack your bath bomb is with your fingers. This isn't, you know, obviously we don't have another mold that fits inside of this one to be able to push down on the top uniformly. So it's all up to you and your phalanges. And also it's up to you as far as packing is concerned, how loose or how tight you want it to be. So many makers are concerned with floating versus sinking with their bath bombs. I promise you, your customers don't care. I'm telling you, they don't. Your customers could care less whether their bath bombs float or sink. They don't care. They want a lovely bath experience with good skin-loving ingredients. And if it sinks for a little while, eventually, as it starts dissolving, it's going to float to the top. It just is. All right, now that I've completely saturated this whole thing here, let's get rid of all that excess. Put this back down, give it some final little pushes. Okay, so now we're just going to start squeezing a little bit. We're going to squeeze all around it gently. We're not, you know, trying to be the Hulk, but just give it a couple little squeezes, a couple little squeezes. And you'll be able to tell when it starts loosening up enough that you can go ahead and unmold it. You'll be able to tell, like I can tell right over here, this is getting quite loose now, which is good. But I still have some resistance going on here. And if you want to give it some taps, where's my spoon? There it is. You can. And that will help to loosen up any suction or friction. And I can see it pulling away from the bomb, and you'll be able to see that too. I'm going to lift this up in a second so then you guys can see for yourself what it looks like when it's starting to pull away from the bomb. All right, let's bring you in here and see if you guys can see. Can you see how it's like pulling away from the bath bomb? The mold itself is pulling away. I don't know if you can see that. I can see it in person, but I don't know if you guys can see it. So once it starts doing that, you should be good to go to start lifting it up and out of there. Once you start seeing it, and you're just gently squeezing, you guys, gently, 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 because we don't want to crack. And then give it some taps, and then you should be able to just lift this right off. Okay, and so here is a lovely baby carriage bath bomb made using a cookie cutter. Okay, so that's groovy. Put that over there. Let's do another one with that baby bottle. Okay, make sure that that little lip is on the top, not the bottom. Last thing we want to do is be pushing and pushing and pushing, and oh, slice, there goes my finger. No, no. No bueno on that either. All right, give it a little shake like we always do, and then you start to press. Now, because the nipple on this bottle is a little bit more on the stress point factor, you know what I mean? We're going to go ahead and poke that with our skewer here, just to pack it a little bit more around these stress points. And just keep on going. It's like with cookie cutters, you kind of have to do it in layers. You can't expect to just dump it all in there and have it, you know, even and level and flush with the top and then start packing it and think that that's going to be okay. You kind of do have to do this like in layers. And if you start to press too hard, you can absolutely misshapen your cookie cutter. You can kind of bend it out of shape if you're pushing too hard. So if you see that that's happening, just go ahead and put your fingers on each side just to kind of hold it together so that that doesn't happen. All right, let's get rid of that excess. All right, we're going to keep on pushing and make it nice and even. Okay, we're all nice and even. Now we're going to start gently squeezing. Do it uniformly all the way around so that everybody gets a little squeeze. And I can already see that it's separating and coming away from the balm, and that's what you want to see. Keep squeezing and pressing gently until you see that happen. Then you can take your spoon and do some taps as you normally would, like with a 3D mold or even with a vacuum press. Obviously, the more intricate the cookie cutter, the more time you're going to need to pack and squeeze and tap and unmold. But all right, let's just see if this is ready to be unmolded yet. Not quite yet, so we need to do a little bit more squeezes. Up here by the nipple is kind of getting a little bit stuck. So that's why you have to listen, you have to look, you have to feel. There's lots of different variables involved. This one is a little bit trickier to try to get out of here. Okay, now we've got it loose enough that it's going to come right off. Okay, and there we have a beautiful little baby bottle to go along with our baby carriage. How cute are those for like a baby shower? Okay, so you can definitely use cookie cutters for bath bomb molds, okay? Metal only, you guys. The plastic ones don't work. All right, let's give this a little mix here. All right, let's move on to silicone. I think that's the last, right? Let me look around. Yeah, I think that's the last of what we talked about, of the different types of molds. And P.S., you guys, hold please. I have a crap ton of cookie cutters, as you can see. I mean, excuse the mess. It's a mess. But I have a lot of cookie cutters. So there you go. All right, now we're going to move on to silicone. What I'm going to say about silicone is I think that bigger is better, because you have to leave these in overnight is the only problem. And I know we all have a crap ton of silicone molds. I know I do. I know I've heard other people making comments that they also do. The thing with silicone molds is you can't unmold them. It'll break. And I'll show you. Let's put some in here. Watch, it'll make a liar out of me and it'll unmold nicely. But it shouldn't unmold nicely. It should just break. Okay. So there we go. We've got that filled. If I went to go and unmold this right now, so turn that over and give it a little push. Yeah, see? That's not going to work. So you have to leave these overnight. You can't unmold them. You can't put them in there and unmold them. It's not going to work. That's the only drawback about using a silicone mold. But you can use them. Just leave them in your mold overnight. And again, it's highly dependent on your recipe and how hard your bath bombs become in 24 hours, in 48 hours. Because if you still have a really, really soft mixture, like for instance, what we saw this morning, we came back to the facility and those bath bombs did not hold up. It's been 24 hours. That was the very first one that I did. The Kata recipe was the very first one that we made on camera yesterday. So it has been actually more than 24 hours. And so, you know, that's why we do our testing, 24 hours, 48 hours, you know, up to a week. We should be continuing to test and seeing what our product is doing. How's it performing? What's it doing now that it's had that time to harden up and get a little bit firmer, a little bit drier? How's it holding up? Is it okay? How's it going to perform after 24 hours, after 48 hours, after a week? Now, I'm putting the mix in here and I am pressing down, as you can see. But I'm not pressing down so hard that I am stretching the silicone cavity out of shape. You don't want to do that. But I am getting in all the corners, all around the perimeter. I'm packing it pretty tightly. Making sure I am getting into those corners because I want those ears to come out. I want the bow on their hair to come out. Let's get rid of some of that. All right, let's take, I don't even have any butter knives over here. Okay, so we're just going to kind of give a little bit of a scrape along the top, just to get rid of some of the excess that may be clumped up and forming like little balls on the top here, little lumps, because we don't want that. So here's the bunnies, and we're going to have to let these sit at least overnight, and we will try them tomorrow and see if they're ready to come out. But let's do a different size mold. This is pretty much the same size mold, so it would be the same principle. The ducks are a little bit small. You could still do it, but they're a little bit small, and I think that these would be easier breakage because they're so small, and there's like little stress points in the tail, in the beak, even in the head. So this, to me, in my opinion, would not be a suitable mold to do a bath bomb in. It's too small, and trying to unmold that, I believe that's going to break. So I wouldn't even try that. But your ice cube trays that have your silicone bottoms that you can just push out, which is what a lot of people use to make embeds, these are super easy. But again, in my personal experience, I have found that leaving them in the tray overnight, at least overnight, is the best way to ensure that when you start popping them out the next day, they're going to remain intact and they're not going to break off. The top part of them is not going to break off. And I'll show you in a second. As soon as I get done packing some of these down in here, I will go ahead and try to pop one out, and you'll see that the top is going to break right off. Just try to clean up the edges. Lissa, messy, messy, messy. What are you doing? Stop that. All right, let's make sure everybody's in here good. Okay, everybody is in there good. Okay, so we've got a whole ice cube tray with the silicone. If I tried to unmold this right now, let's just I'm not going to turn it over because then they're all going to fall out, but you're going to see me push up on the bottom, okay? So let's push up. Now watch, it's going to make a liar out of me. It did make a liar out of me. It came right out, and it didn't break off the top. All right, well, you know what? Because it did that, let's do a little test. Let's turn the whole thing over. Sometimes when you do that, you could just lift straight up and they will all come out. Other times you have to give a little push. So let's just see what happens if I try to lift straight up. All right, some came out and some did not. You can see some breakage. You can see some breakage on the tops. And that's why, in my personal opinion, just to have everybody doing well across the board, I leave them in here overnight. And then the next day, it's usually never a problem to just pop them right on out of there. So, all right, let's, what are we gonna do here? Let's put some cardboard and get rid of these. Here we go. Yeah, some of the tops of these are definitely broken, but I knew that was going to happen. These ones did not come out, so let's give them a little push. We're going to turn it over, and we're just going to give it a little push. Boop, 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 boop. That should have been enough. Now you should be able to lift straight up. All right, so 2 of them came out, 2 did not. Let's give them another little push. There we go. It's making a liar out of me. Ordinarily, the tops would be broken. And I can see, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. About 6 of these. 6 of these have broken tops. So for consistency purposes, just leave them in there. These are so cheap, you guys. You could get like a pack of, I think I got a pack of 4 of these on Amazon, really cheap. So go ahead and get yourself a pack of 4 and then just leave them overnight. Okay, so there's that. That's the ice cube tray. And the square one is going to be the same situation, no difference, just a different shape, that's all. All right, so we've done this silicone mold here, which is pretty much the same as the bunny butt. And we're going to leave those overnight. Not going to do these. I think it's too small. I think those would break when I unmold it. The bunny butt, same, pretty much the same size. So we're not going to, you know, keep on going. Let's do this one though. This, I can tell you for a fact, will absolutely crumble if you try to unmold this today. So let's just put some in here. Messy process. Let me just take my skewer. I really wish that I had my butter knife over here, but I don't. Now, with these bigger cavity silicone molds, just be careful as you're pressing down, again, that you're not creating cracks and fissures in the bath bomb that you're currently trying to make. It's easy to happen during the pressing process. You know, you're pressing and you're trying to get the mix into all those cracks and crevices, and then you're like I can see right here, like I'm creating a crack, a little bit of a crack. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I can see it. I'm creating a little bit of a crack. So just be cognizant of that, all right? And kind of try to keep everybody together, keep everybody pushed together. And again, like I'm going to try to unmold this now for sake of this video and this tutorial. I need more mix though, I can tell. Now, I am just a disaster today with making messes. It's not altogether different from trying to do a vacuum form mold. It's just way more flexible, that's all. So I am going to go ahead and try to unmold this right now, but I just know it's not going to last. Yeah, there's no way that that's going to last. You see all those cracks? Like, watch, watch. See? That's why we leave them in the mold overnight, okay? All right, let's do this again, and this time we're gonna leave it in the mold. We're not gonna move that. Okay, so let's try this one here on the end. Push down a little bit to get all those details on the bottom of the mold. Try not to misshapen your mold though. And then I like to just kind of pick it up in my hand and work with it that way and continue packing. And the more you practice with your silicone molds, the easier it will become. And then of course you're not just going to do one bath bomb. You know, you have a 2, 4, 6 cavity mold. You're not just going to do one and leave it in the mold overnight. You're going to fill the rest of these, right? So it just takes practice with handling it, whether you do it, you know, just down here on the table, whether you have it in your hand like I have right now. It just takes practice, that's all. All right, let's pack this a little bit better because I see lots of cracks. See, that's the thing with flexible molds, is they will tend to pull apart more on you, meaning they're probably going to be pulling on your bath bomb mixture, and that's going to create cracks. So you really want to make sure you're packing down fairly well with your larger silicone molds. Like we didn't have any problems with the bunny, as you saw. Okay, so we're just going to leave that. We're going to leave that in the mold overnight. We're going to take it out of here tomorrow, and we're going to see how that does. I think that's about it, you guys. What do you think? I don't think there's anything else that we needed to go over as far as what can you use as a mold to make bath bombs. We never did demo this one. Let's just do it just because we're here. The little plastic one that you know, comes apart. Fill, fill, fill. Fill, fill, fill. Now you want to try to squeeze these together as best you can to try to get both of those halves lined up and closed. All right, so now we've got the bath bomb mix completely enclosed in here. And isn't that cute? And then the kids can unmold it themselves. But again, like I said, this is going to take way longer to dry than a regular bath bomb because there's no air getting to it. So keep that in mind if you're going to use these type of molds from the Dollar Tree. But we'll put you there and let you rest for a little while. What else? I think that's it, you guys. I think we've pretty much kind of run the gamut of all the different types of molds that you can use to make your bath bombs. So we're not going to be doing a demo on the vacuum press molds today because there are many, many videos already up on my channel where I do just that. I do the demos from Wild Time Studio, Jody Hansen. I think there's some Beachside Bathhouse up there. Those are also a good supplier too. They don't release as well as Wild Time or Jody Hansen. I did get a batch of just Fizzy Fairy molds in, but I won't be demoing those until Halloween time. I've already done a couple of them just to see how they would release, and I'm very, very pleased. So stay tuned for some videos towards the end of this year on just Fairy Fizzies or just Fizzy Fairies, whatever the hell the name of it is. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, you need any help, any more tips, tricks, hints, anything like that, if you would like my personal recipe for my bath bomb mixture, shoot me a message, let me know. I'll be happy to help. So if you guys need any more help with your bath bombs, your mixture, tips, tricks, hints, any helpful suggestions, I'm always available, you guys. I'm here all the time. You guys know how to reach me on all of my socials. I'll be glad to help you in any way that I can. But until we get back together again, you guys enjoy the remainder of your day. Spring is in the air. The weather is warming up. The birds are outside looking for nesting grounds. The squirrels are out. We had our Bucky Beaver, what we call him, out making his first sighting yesterday. It is not Puxatawny Phil. even though we live in PA. We call him Bucky Beaver, and he lives in our yard, and he was out yesterday for the first time. So enjoy the day, enjoy the rest of the weekend, and until we meet again, you guys, be kind, stay humble, and take care of yourselves. We'll see you soon.